Welcome to I'm Spiritual But, a one-of-a-kind talk show creating a new global conversation about inclusive spirituality. Whether you're religious or not religious, this show seeks to inspire you to discover your own unique spiritual experience. And now, here is your host, award-winning author and actress, Scottlin.
Welcome back to I'm Spiritual But. I'm Scottlin, your host, and I'm so glad you've joined us here again today. And we have a special treat for you. One of my favorite and biggest hearted people that I know is here today, and she's going to be sharing her discussion with me on spirituality. We're going to talk a lot about love, about inclusive love, and how that helps us all. You know, one of the questions is, how do we heal our heart? And how do we really know if there's infinite love? So our topic today is I'm spiritual, but is there really infinite love? And as you know, this is a whole show about inclusive spirituality. So we try to include different thoughts, different ideas. So we hope you will listen and hopefully take something really beautiful away today. So first, let me tell you a little bit about our guest, Valeria. And she's an author, a podcaster, a speaker. Her work focuses on amazing emotional healing and spiritual awareness. She has her own show, which is very much about healing. So I'm sure she'll let us know about that at the end. And also it'll be in the notes if you'd like to check that out. She says it's about deepening the understanding and realization of our inherent wholeness. She shapes and promotes healing wisdom informed by empowering practices, tools, and messages, which is so true. Fit for Joy is the name of her community, and which is a community of heart-centered human beings contributing to the embodiment of our interconnectedness. Long word to read off there, but wow, that is like literally one of my favorite words in the world. So I absolutely love that. So please help me welcome Valeria.
Hello, and thank you so much
Hi.
Thank you for the beautiful, warm introduction. That's the feeling that you left me the last time we talked.
Oh,
so it's almost like it's a continuation of that. That's what it feels like when I met you.
Amazing.
Recording.
You know, I appreciate that. And I feel like that's when we're really aware of each other, when we're connecting to our commonalities instead of focusing on our differences. It feels like you can pick up a kind of conversation, even almost a sacred conversation anywhere, anytime. It's just a continuing. It kind of is sort of a timelessness to being deeply connected, right? Which yes. I just absolutely love. And so I want to start out, as our viewers know, I usually start out with a quote that is brought by the guest. And this one is by Valeria herself today. And it says, "It's by realizing that you are the impossible that everything else becomes possible." I'm going to read that one more time because it's just beautiful. It's by realizing that you are the impossible that everything else becomes possible. Why did you pick this, Valeria, and what does that mean to you in your spiritual experience?
Yes, that's interesting that when I was posed with that question about what quote, I didn't think of it as a quote, but more like what is true to me, what's really would resonate, what phrase, if I could kind of speak, put out there one phrase only before I lose the body, it would be this one. And I know it has to be unpacked in a way because a lot of people, they have an impression that, or we in general have this impression that we can understand with intellect everything that has been said or anything that happens really in our experience. But it takes conversations and deep ones to really know what is this all about? What are we all about? So realizing the impossible. I guess I have to break down into two parts. In the impossible, I have to say this is basically having this infinite experience within a finite experience.
Mm-hmm.
So basically saying that what I really understood from my own experience is that this is infinity experiencing finite through the human body, the human experience. So, but that for a lot of people and for myself, it became very abstract. The infinite, that's too big. Then when I really went deeper into it, my own experience, I noticed that when I was really young, about 7 years old, I had this just this spontaneous conversation with myself. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "Oh, you're here again in a female body, in a woman's body, in a girl's body." So that really kind of opened up this whole new understanding, or the seek for understanding what that meant, that experience of what does it mean being here again? I had no understanding of spirituality or no language to express any of that as a child. So that to me translates as the impossible, this experience itself, being here now, talking to you, being aware of what the voice is saying, what the mind's thinking. That is, that to me is the impossible. And then what is possible from that once we realize, oh, we're already the impossible. This is not supposed to happen. Well, how did this happen? To be here in this body, doing whatever I'm doing here. So what comes to mind when I think about possibilities is the possibility of being at peace with whatever it's happening in this reality, whatever you're experiencing, being able to go back to this realization that this is already magic itself, per se. That's already not supposed to happen, but it is happening. So open up to that unknown and just kind of giving yourself to life. Basically.
That's so beautiful. Oh, I really love how you expressed all of that. So tell us a little bit about, I know every our listeners and viewers, it always is fun to feel like they get to know you a little bit. So tell us a little bit about your story. I know that you've had some very interesting twists and turns in your life. So tell us a little about it from the lens of your spiritual journey and where you started and how you've arrived where you are today.
Yes, that's a long answer that I'll try to make it really as concise and short as possible.
We have a few minutes, so yeah, take your time.
Wow, where?
I mean, it sounds like it started when you were, your awareness as a child, even though you might not have had words for it.
Right.
Your awareness of your spiritual self or spiritual connectivity was there. So, what happened next?
Yes. So that was, I would say, an experience a spontaneous experience of self-understanding, of self-realization, but not really unpacking, trying to understand that deeper because I was a child. So I could, that was just a moment. And then I went through a lot of experience with trauma, and my childhood was really a painful one, emotionally, physically. And then those experiences, they actually opened a lot more my interest in learning what spirituality was, in a sense of who am I, like, why am I here? For me, it was a quest to understand existence itself. It was much deeper. For me, it has been always that way, much deeper than just the surface of why, what was I hurt? Of course, those questions arise as well. Why did this happen to me? But then deeper than that, that was always my quest. Why is this here? Not even am I here, but why this experience as a whole happening? And that's existence itself. So through suffering and through a lot of trials, trying to heal myself, healing the heart and the mind, then it seems like everything just came from as an answer. All the other experiences I started to have, they came from that. Just that this desire to know more, not just why I suffered, but why suffering at all, why existing at all. And then I went through, of course, I say of course because it's one of my favorite teachings was Buddhism, was one of my favorite ones, really, that I started going deeper into what.
So let's pause for one moment. I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to give our viewers some context. So after your childhood, where did you go to school? What was your journey? Where did you live? What did that look like?
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's funny how I start talking about there's no body there. Yes, perfect. Of course. I was born in Brazil. And I was raised in a very small town, and that's where everything happened. My parents, they had a lot of issues themselves, understanding who they were, and that's why that was passed on. No healing, basically. And then I moved. I made a decision to move from this small town to a bigger town with the help of a friend. And then I had been to school already. I had a high school diploma, and I had to have that because I wanted to leave the situation I was in, but I was not really. I knew I had to have more education to go out there because I didn't want to just go and escape without any direction. So this friend of mine, she helped me to go to this bigger city, and then she found me a job. And that's another long story. I just kind of smuggling here a little bit of sales pitch in a way, if it is that. I wrote a book about Fit for Joy. That's the book that tells the entire story about everything unfolded. But basically, then I went to this bigger city. But I have been very interested in the inner journey. Like what was happening within? What was I trying to find? What answers was it trying to uncover? That really has been true to me now. I'm very much not interested in the physical experience. All the retreats I did, and of course the meditations I did so much. In all the relationships, all the troubles that I was in, the troubles I got myself into as well. So, but it's the internal journey that really interests me, and maybe that's why I focus more on how the questions and what I was trying to get it. What was the destination per se? Although I do know that there's no destination. It's it's almost there.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this. So, why do you think that some people seem to be born with this a spiritual fascination or a desire to understand more, and other people aren't? Do you think it's background? Do you think it's something who we are at a higher level? What do you think that is?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Because some people might say, I would like to be more interested in spiritual things, but it just isn't. So right. Like, so how is it that someone could wonder this from childhood? So, I mean, I had similar experiences to you. So I relate to having an interest since childhood. So I'll let you answer.
Yes. I would love to hear your answer on that too. And because I do often ask that question to some of my guests and of course myself. If I were to suggest anything for the why, I would say mind continuation, what we call reincarnation, rebirth. So wherever we do here, the mind is just holding all this content. And then when the body ends, so when the body dies, then the mind content or some of the residues will move on and reincarnate in a different body. So that's my suggestion. I have kind of read enough and been exposed enough to spiritual philosophies to kind of have that glimpse. It's just an idea, and we know there's a lot of evidence out there, even that there is life after death. But I think it's just a continuation of the content of the mind.
So, that said, what was your journey? It sounds like you were in organized religion some, and then kind of found your own journey. How does that changed over time?
Yes, it did change a lot, right? It's because of my main question has been existence itself. Why?
Mm-hmm.
What is existence? Is why is this exists instead of nothing or or
Mm-hmm.
any other reality or anything else? Why this or why anything at all? So I know this
Mm-hmm.
those questions has been posed already by scientists and by thousands of years of spiritual inquiry from spiritual philosophies in schools. But that's the core that I really wanted to get at. What is here? And my understanding now is that there's just awareness. It's just there's something here that it's noticing everything else that we call exists. So existence itself is watching, is observing, it's noticing what we perceive as existing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, it's like a dream. It's really, if we were dreaming right now, we wouldn't question, right? We would
Mm-hmm.
probably not question. We just would live that reality as if it was real, as it was true, the only one.
Right. So, how did you discover that organized religion did or didn't work for you personally? Because here we don't have any critique one way or the other, but it's just we like to hear people's personal stories. Like, how did that work for you, or how did you feel like you needed to find another way to express your personal spiritual experience?
Yes. That started with being a Catholic, my parents, and I was exposed to that as a
Mm-hmm.
child and a teenager. And it didn't work for me. It was very obvious, very fast too, because the suffering, the pain that I was experiencing in my
Mm-hmm.
day-to-day lives with my mother and my
Mm-hmm.
father and my brother and sister. My sister, really, my brother was not there yet, although I did experience suffering with him too. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea of a God that was outside of me didn't make sense because I was asking for help every day. I would kind of pray every single day that God would come and take me out of that suffering,
Mm-hmm.
and that it didn't happen. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
very fast in a sense of it probably took 7 years, 8 years to realize that I had to find the way out of that situation myself. Was
Mm-hmm.
more going within instead of uh, looking outside for a God that was outside of me. And it's not that the idea of an outside God doesn't help. It does. In the very beginning, that helped me a lot, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure, because it relieved a lot of the emotional pain. Thinking that, a devotion, I was devoting myself, and the mind was devoting itself to something out there. It helped.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing helped me more than finding the answer within, that I had to leave the situation, that I had a choice, basically, that there was more possibility, that there was more to this, which we call the human experience. And that's when I decided to ask my friend for her to help me. I had to ask for
Mm-hmm.
help. Yeah.
Well, that's so interesting because sometimes we feel helpless in our situation, even if we're having a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes it seems like spirit is waiting for us to take action first.
Right.
Everyone is in a different situation. Some people can do something about it and some people cannot. But it seems that often when we can do something, we're asked to do it. And I think it's something that strengthens us and gives us focus and resolve in moving forward. Whereas if it was all just been done for us and someone waved the magic wand, we would have missed a lot of opportunities to learn and grow and discover our own strength.
Yes, right. So it is this. It's as if God is having a unique experience through our human lives. That's how I see it. So it's kind of interesting to when we talk about oneness, we hear that a lot. Everything is one. Oh, God is one. I see more as everything is happening in God or in pure consciousness, or this umbrella of the infinite, in a very unique way from different perspectives. So from your perspective, from a tree's perspective, every angle, just is the most amazing thing when we think about it. And I know I had questions about, but I don't want to have this experience. It's almost like questioning that infinite existence in me. Why do you want to experience this, through me? But I don't know how much choice we have when it comes to that. It unfolds itself. It's just doing what it does. It's life being life itself, without anybody really doing anything. Although we do have a name and we have this sense, the feeling that there's somebody controlling and managing all this, but it doesn't feel that way anymore.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yes, no, I love that. So, so let's talk for a few minutes about, how do we discover infinite love, and how do we know it's infinite? If someone's watching and they're like, I just don't connect with, there's a God in the sky. But I would like to think there's infinite love. I would like to think that there's love beyond just me and my own heart, right? Because if you happen to be the gift of love as a human being, which you do, and I know I do, but some people would say, well, I feel like there is no love in my entire experience, so it's really hard for me to believe in infinite love. Or I've been loved by humans who have let me down, which you've also experienced, and I have too.
Right.
So how do we discover that for ourselves? How do we begin to practice experiencing that and kind of be able to fall into that comfort, into that assurance? It's almost a personalized version of faith. How do we start down that path?
Yes. That's a beautiful question, because love, it's in itself, just even the word, the language, love, it opens the heart. It's by realizing that you're love itself. It's really not looking for love as in objects out there. It's although it can be an experience, but it's limited, and it will always be limited. And when it comes to infinite love, then it's you yourself.
Yeah.
You are love. There's nothing else more amazing than that. And to getting in touch with that love that we are, I know it sounds abstract, and it's not easy for us limited body mind complex to kind of tap into it, especially immediately. Oh, it could happen. For some people, it happens instantly. But it takes this very sincere longing to know what love is, true love is. It's a longing. It's this, we tried with relationships and objects, pleasure and all that. And then we find this very limited and kind of fleeting kind of experience of love. But then there is, when we realize that it's always here, that we are love itself, which is that awareness that it's just, that sees everything as existing. So if we are watching what exists, that means we are existence. Existence is love. It's all inclusive. Existence is like the sun to me. It's kind of shining upon everything without any discrimination. It's everywhere at the same time. So that's how I think about love. It changed, of course, throughout time. I had completely different ideas. But talk to me about your ideas of infinite love. And I'd love to hear that.
Well, I mean, it's such an interesting conversation, and sometimes, excuse me, hard to articulate. I think that it's almost as if, sometimes it's easier to answer questions with an as if.
Right.
It's almost as if, and I'll speak from the physical body here, right? It's almost as if we know we belong. I would say belonged, but for you, I'll say belong, that we belonged to something higher, greater, more powerful than just ourselves alone, something that has the power to bring joy and peace and to help us know when we feel loved and grounded, and makes us want to seek that. And as you said, and we seek that in all of the tangible physical world around us to try to kind of fill that void.
Yeah.
As far as infinite love, I think of more as abstract examples rather than having an answer. So here's an abstract example, which is when I say, okay, so if for the sake of argument, I don't believe in an individual person, God in the sky, higher power. If that was true, then how do I know there's something greater than myself? Obviously, looking at nature is one. Another one, though, is realizing the deep connection we have with each other as humans, if we're willing. And this really has to be that looking for, and I talk about this all the time, looking for what we have in common in our human experience, as opposed to just focusing on the differences, which seems to be our nature often, is to just focus on differences or what separates us.
Right.
So I would, sometimes I would, when I was kind of really searching, I would meditate and feel kind of alone. And then someone suggested, well, what if you think about connecting to all the other people in the world out of 8 billion plus people who are spiritual, who experience and share, willingly give love, who want the best for their fellow human beings, for the planet, for all creatures. What about those people who are tying in right now in their meditation or prayer, whatever you want to call it? If you think about that being so similar to you, it's really an extension of you and vice versa. Then suddenly you see the whole world as a web of true hearts that are connected. It doesn't really matter if there's, 500 or 5 billion, but the idea that they're truly connected means you're clicking in to something higher. You can feel the love. When you feel compassion towards someone, or you feel a really warm connection with someone. So if you can just realize that we really all are connected, some people might argue, that we're part of the same organism or of the greater experience of life or the universe or whatever that is. So I think realizing that we are connected is a way to start experiencing kind of that taste of what infinite love is. But it also takes, I wouldn't pick the word faith personally, but it's the only one that really works here. It takes a certain amount of faith. I'll even say experimental faith, where you're like, okay, I'm willing to lay aside my doubts or maybe my personal upbringing and training to try a new way of thinking and just taste that experience and see what it's like. It doesn't have to be scientifically explained to me, but I'm open to connections, because if everything is 100% logical, and we've also had scientists on here which are really fully their experiences around logic, and they can find spirituality too. But for others, are you willing to just open your mind a little bit to what if, and go there willingly, experience, think about the connecting of others, see if it starts opening your eyes to people around you that you're connecting with, in person, virtually, or all over the world. See how it changes that experience of whether you feel loved when you actually know that there's so many people out there that may not even know you in this body, but they actually already love you. Just like you already love certain people or pets that maybe you haven't even met yet. You would just know that you would already have that kind of connection. So that's sort of my abstract take on how is a way to taste that you're part of something bigger, even if you can't clearly see it or articulate it.
It's wonderful. And it doesn't really sound abstract to me. And it sounds very practical in that sense, right? Because we all have experienced this love, which is the union. It's that we feel one with the other. That's more more often than not through romantic relationships that is
Mm-hmm.
experienced. So you feel one with it. That's the experience of that shared essence that's there, that unites, that connects us all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we realize that we are wow, that we are that essence. So that it's everywhere. It cannot only be here. So it's everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
then the possibility for love, it's just huge when we realize that. But we have to realize here first. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can. I tried to love there first, but
Right.
it's here first, in the sense of
Mm-hmm.
not even mind, body, mind, but kind of going deep enough to see that you are the one that is watching, noticing what the body and the
Mm-hmm.
mind's doing. They're not aware of
Mm-hmm.
you. You are aware of them. So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
know that
Yeah.
that's love.
Yes. So I can tell when I'm thinking. So who's watching me think? What is that? What is the
Yeah.
bigger, the greater thing, the greater experience? I think and I know that many of great philosophers have said it similarly. If you really could see, even scientists, if you really could see how deeply connected everything and everyone is,
Yeah.
it would really change your opinion of being alone, of being isolated,
Yeah.
change your fear of passing away. It would change so many things. And I take so many of those lessons from nature,
Yes.
because nature is so important to me, and connecting with it and observing it and seeing that, human experience can be violent. It can be pleasurable. It can be
Yes.
peaceful. Same as nature. Because we are nature. We're not looking out the window at nature. We are nature that happens to be in a square box, which is a building at the moment.
Yeah.
But we're nature. Where we really resonate deeply is in nature. And I say, if someone sincerely wants to find more connection and just to take time alone and quiet in nature and really just asking and being aware and whole and realizing, asking to show me connection. I say, if you want to pray or whatever that is you want to call it, and you don't know where to start, then ask what you should ask for. I mean, I personally believe that there are higher powers or beings or your higher self, whatever that works for you, but there is something greater that will help you know what to ask for. It could even be your own subconscious, but you have to kind of ask, what should I ask for, so that I know what I should be listening for, watching for, or do next. And I have found that when I do that sincerely, whether I speak it or whether I write it in a journal and then take some quiet time or meditation, I frequently am impressed with an answer that feels like an answer. Yeah. So giving yourself the opportunity to start connecting, it's sort of like we're born with these broken antennas that used to hear the call of the universe and spirit and nature. And I always tell my friends, I was like, I know there's, the sixth and seventh sense, and it's like we've lost the seventh sense. We know it's there, and that's why we feel lost sometimes, because something has happened in some way that we don't understand that has disconnected us from a tangible experience, something that feels tangible. Yeah. But you can seek to reconnect in an intangible way, and that's only for certain people. Not because everyone can, but you have to want to. If you just bring doubt to it, it's very hard to do it. If you are going to learn to be a tightrope walker, you can't just sit around and look at the tightrope forever and doubt that you'll ever make it. Right. You have to say, I'm willing to take a step out. I've had training. I have my balance bar. I have the right shoes, and I have even a security rope. The security rope is the body, that we're still here. You're always safe. You can always come back. You don't have, but you have to be willing to take that leap of, I'm gonna take that leap and see and experiment. And I think that's what makes spirituality so fascinating, and in the context of this show, so incredibly personal, because
Yeah.
One size doesn't fit all.
Right.
One size fits many, and people
Yeah.
have a wonderful experience. But I even think those experiences can be greater and deeper. And it really comes down to you and to what, if you, I know many people who want to live within a very tight construct of a religious template.
Right.
And for some of them, that gives them peace. And maybe they're called to be focused on something else in the world, and that is what gives them peace. And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But if you feel like those templates don't fit you and you want to connect, you have to have a little bit of courage to reach out and try. And that's how it's worked for me anyway.
Yes. Yeah. The same here. And I usually use the word trust. I know you mentioned faith, but
I love trust.
Yes, I moved from believing, having faith to trust, and that works for me. Yeah, trusting.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's not really trusting the higher self or the true self, but it's more like a trust from the body, mind, trusting that awareness that's here, consciousness itself. I mean, we can call the soul God, but it's here. It's not out there. So it's kind of the body and the mind trusting that they also are infinite. So that's kind of, it works for me.
Yes, I love that. We have a few minutes left. I just want to chat with you a little more casually because I know our viewers probably don't know, but you're a very interesting human being. You have a very interesting life, a very interesting past. Used to be a competitor, I believe. Weren't you in physical fitness?
Yes.
Tell us just a tiny bit about that so they can see the bodily side of you.
Yes, right. Isn't that funny? That was actually one of the things that got in the way, because I thought that nobody would listen to anything that I had to say about spirituality or the things that I was doing, the books that I was writing, and the people was meeting, exposing their work and their thoughts about spirituality, because I had this background in physical, being a fitness trainer and being a fitness competitor and all that. And then I just kind of played with the possibility of not hiding that part of me and just leaving everything. This is who the body mind used to be. The mind was interested in, and the body did. And this is, I'm not ashamed of it. That's okay. And then I left on my website and at the same time created all my other platforms to connect with people like yourself. And then it's interesting that people, one, actually didn't even matter to them, but the past, what I had done, because they were focused on what I was doing now. That was more important to them. And some people who had access to my past and looked at everything that I did, they would actually find it interesting too, that I moved from that to this, which is not really a movement. It's all one. I still work out. I'm still very interested in health and all that, but it has a different flavor to it, per se. It's a lot more peaceful. Like I don't have to. Yeah, it's a lot more peaceful. I have to say it that way. I guess that's
amazing. I think it gives you, as just speaking for myself, I think it gives you more credence, makes you more believable to know that part of your story, because most people are very much caught up in their body experience. So to know that you also can relate to that, I think sometimes that's where people say, oh, kind of like the yogi sitting on a cloud, and that's nice for him, but that wouldn't work for me. Well, look at that. I magically produced a vase.
Yeah, right. I saw that.
A yogi sitting on a cloud, but they don't, this person was born, they grew up, they ate food, they had all of their biological functions, they live in a body too. So I think connecting to the human side of it, even Jesus Christ, as is, whether that for some of you is God or a historical figure, he was a very physical presence with people. And I think that's what made it believable, was that people saw him eat and sleep and live and get dirty and, hang out with people that were supposedly naughty and it was considered bad people to hang out with, and, uneducated people and all kinds of people. Right. So, but I think that's what makes a message more believable, is when you realize that the person is real,
Yeah.
Since most people only see the body side of the experience, it gives them hope when they're like, wow, that used to be like clearly someone who's very in touch with their body, right?
Yeah.
But also found a way to be really in touch with their spiritual side. Because for you, it's when I listen to you share, it's really what you're doing for us as a gift is you're completing a circle. You're showing that the body, mind, spirit experience is one.
Yes.
And you can focus on different parts sometimes at different times, but it's really just that it's one. And if you had fully understood that at a younger age, you wouldn't have maybe had to do as many other things to find it. But that's the journey. And regardless of, whether people think this is the one life or there's a next life or we're in parallel lives, or, I do believe also that our energy continues on.
Right.
I feel that it's not a waste of time being here in this experience.
No.
This is an investment. This is, I think of life on earth as roughly a school that we're either learning lessons, or if that sounds too uncomfortable, we're here to learn truths and experience that will help us forever as we, whatever we are and whatever we're doing. This is a gift. And I say too, and I don't have time today, but viewers know I've shared my story a lot as well. And I believe that nothing is ever wasted. I say this almost every episode, so bear with me, everyone. Nothing is ever wasted. We may not have wished to go through horrible experiences. We may have not wished that on anyone else either, but nothing is wasted unless you choose to waste it and totally focus on yourself as, somehow a failure or unlovable. If you're willing to believe that you can bring something better to the world, that you can make life better for others than maybe what you had it at one point, then everything is used, every piece. The mind is so intelligent, not to mention the spirit or higher self or whatever you want to call that. Right. We take that and we make it into fuel. We make it into wisdom that not only guides us through our life and beyond, but also can really help connect us empathetically to other human beings around us, which is also really beautiful. Well, I did not mean to talk that long because we have to go momentarily.
Yes.
But it's been such a pleasure to have you here. And before we close, do you have anything short you'd like to just share with everyone as we leave?
Anything to share?
Just about love.
Wow. That love is what we are. It's what we are. It's in the sooner we realize that, the freer we'll become. It's just happens like magic. So it's I love your comment about the journey and with mind continuation, which I that really there's something that suggests that to be true, but it's also, to me, the focus is really freedom. So how can I be free here now? So in any other life that I might have, I already have that flavor of freedom in it. So yes, that to me, that's love. That's what love really is.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Valeria, for being here. Thank you all of you for watching, for listening. You can look in the notes and find, or on the screen, and find my information. You can also find Valeria's information, her show, her book, her website. So scroll on down, check that out. She has a wonderful and beautiful community, and if you enjoyed her here today, you'll enjoy, she's prolific. I think she does something like 5 shows a week or more. So
yes.
So thank you all for joining us here on I'm Spiritual But. Again, we'll be live next week. So that will be Wednesdays at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. Join us, tune in. And in the meantime, if you'd like to send any questions, you can email us directly. Go to the website, imspiritualbut.com, and listen for more new information, upcoming news I may be sharing on the next episode, in addition to a new podcast I will also be starting soon. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Valeria. Be well.
Thank you so much.